Welcome to Empower Hour. Let's get growing. Good morning. So good to be here, you guys. I actually did my hair and put makeup on, which I don't always do on Fridays. And the reason why I don't always do this on Fridays is because this is the only work I actually really do on Fridays. It's been a couple of years since I worked Fridays. Why? Because I have a granddaughter and she likes to hang out with me on Fridays. And that is something that brings me joy. And I have learned that when I put joy, the things that bring me joy first in my life, I'm more productive. I thrive that way. I learned this the hard way. I was in that hustle and grind crash cycle for years, about 20 of them. Right? I had the obsession, which I still do, with building business, working tirelessly, still do. I think I worked about 14 hours yesterday. But I was in this cycle of, hustle, grind, and then crashing. I would then engage in not the best activities like binge watching TV, which, there's nothing wrong with it, but I was not being efficient with my time, or I would drink at the end of the day, and that kind of just would help me relax and unwind, but it also deadened my creativity. It also brought a lack of joy and a lack of fulfillment, despite all of the success, because I was putting the hustle and grind first. And I thought I had to. I didn't think there was enough time in the day. And it wasn't until I started traveling alone, right? I had the place in the Dominican Republic. Husband's in the hustle and grind, was in the hustle and grind mode. He wasn't coming with me. Kids weren't coming with me. They're grown. So I started traveling alone. And something about that time on the beach really helped me to realize when I would come back, I was like, whew, full of energy, full of life, so excited. And that's when I realized I had to break free from that cycle. And I needed to start create time and space for what truly matters, right? And so now I've learned when I put the joy first and the relaxation first and the family time first and all the things that nourish my soul, I am then more productive. And then in addition to that, learning to streamline operations, delegate tasks, automate processes, focus on strategic thinking and innovation, utilizing tools and technology, and embracing, all of that helps you to be able to step away from work without freaking out. But the first thing is putting the joy first. And the other thing is also reframing joy. I speak to entrepreneurs all day, every day, and I can't tell you how many of them they are out of love. They are out of love with what they do every day. They can't stand the people that work for them. They can't stand their clients. They can't stand the atmosphere. I mean, come on, you guys. It's not the world. It's not the political climate. It's not this. It's what you're focusing on. So bringing back the joy and creating the time and space in order to be able to do that. Look, I'm the first one to say that balance is bullshit. It's not even possible. If we walk around trying to let me balance my family life with my business life, it's just not going to happen. It's unattainable, in my opinion, right? Especially for entrepreneurs, maybe for other people, but for entrepreneurs, look, we're passionate. We want to grow and we want to build and we want to do things. And of course we want to make money. But when I learned that putting the joy first actually empowered me to be more creative, to have more energy, to be more excited, and to not hate my team and hate my clients because I was filled. And now I have a cup from which I can pour from. So this whole concept is the whole reason. Well, I have my Beyond Limits program, which I think is like, the super solution for all business owners and entrepreneurs, but we have to get there. So I created the time energy efficiency audit so that you can take some time to really take a look. If I had $1 for every entrepreneur or business owner that tells me, I say, oh, well, what means, what things do you want to add into your life? What hobbies do you want to start? What travel do you want to do? And they'll say the answer, but then they go, but I just don't have the time. Not true. So let's this is a $1,500 thing that I typically do at the beginning of Beyond Limits. I'm putting it out there for $55 because I truly believe that this 1 hour of commitment from you is going to completely revolutionize your life. Is that the right word? And you're going to feel good. I mean, you guys, I'm not where I want to be yet financially. I'm rebuilding, okay? But I have more joy, more freedom in my life than I ever have before. And it is truly because of the putting the joy first. But you have to be able to create that space and create that time so that you are not only still thriving in your business, but you are more profitable and you are more creative and you are more productive. All right. So I hope you take advantage of that. It will be a ton of fun. I promise you. It's a very small investment of your time and your money. And I promise you will get so much out of it. So speaking of people who know how to balance their lives, well, here I said balance is bullshit. I think Anna will agree with me. But, I love watching Anna. I got to know Anna better actually through her husband, although I met her first. Her husband and I were very close in the New York State Commercial Association of Realtors. What's up, Matt? If you're around and watching, but maybe not. And of course, I love him dearly. But Anna, I feel like in so many ways we're like twin flames. Is that, do you know what I mean by that? We have very different path, but yet very similar. And we have the same kind of passion, the same kind of drive. And it really is that we want to help people, business owners, realtors. I was coaching realtors forever. Anna also coaches realtors in addition to businesses. I'm just going to stop talking because I'm just going to bring her up. Jose, if you can put Anna's slide up. Hold on. Yeah, let's add that first. So with the beautiful Anna Gibbs.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited to be here. But you're so much more than this slide. So give us a little quick intro to who you are. Do a better job than me.
Oh,
gosh. I don't have no tea yet.
I have my coffee, so I'm right there with you, girl. Well, first, I just want to say thank you, Jen, for having me. It's always great to spend time with you, and we have such great conversations. So I'm excited to, hang out with you this morning and meet everyone. So yes, my name is Anna Gibbs. I've been a business leader and an entrepreneur for over 30 years. I started when I was 2. So my background is really working I've worked in small business, I've worked in big business, but really always in some type of sales-driven type role, business development, marketing, leadership. And that brought me naturally into coaching. So for the last 14 years, I've worked to create a space where I can coach and consult, mostly entrepreneurs, but not exclusively. And it started where I was really coaching and helping them with their business. And I quickly realized, like myself, that your business can only grow to the extent that you do. So really then got more into the space of working with people on mindset, behavior, understanding their own little combination and how that works to help them succeed or not sometimes, right? Because we can hold ourselves back. So really spent the last, like I said, 14 years working in the realm as a coach, which brought me to really connect with some people, some great people like you at Keller Williams. And so for the last 12 years, I've also been working with Keller Williams, and currently I'm in the role of the general manager of the Keller Williams Hudson Valley and Upstate Group. And that uses all of my experience and skill set, I think, every day to think strategically, support people, lead them, consult them, guide them. And so I'm very passionate about personal development and really helping people think beyond their limits. So that's just a little snippet of my professional background. And, there's so much you can talk about. And for 30 years of experience, it's hard to do. But I'm also a wife and a mom and a grandma, a Gigi. And that's a true joy, too, and passion for me.
The best.
Yes.
It's the best. And today's not a podcast anyway. You're here to school us today. I know you have a new program that you are rolling out, but you're here to talk about unlocking your potential and why developing leadership skills matter. And this is obviously a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I actually developed my leadership skills the hard way, always. And in the last 6 years, don't do that. I am proactive, always. I mean, I always was, but I am so dedicated now to learning and developing and personal growth and all that stuff as a priority along with my joy. Mm-hmm. And it made a huge difference. So even though, right, I was considered a leader, I've been a leader in the industry and in the business community for 16 years, more probably. And so I consider myself a leader and other people consider myself a leader. But looking back, I can see had I been more proactive with developing leadership skills, which is communication skills and so many other things, I would have done a better job. No regrets. Don't get me wrong. Right. Because I get to do that moving forward. But I just want to touch upon the people who are listening who are like, yeah, I'm already a leader. Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting that you start with that, because I think that there's two groups of people, and there's a group of people who maybe like ourselves have always found themselves in a leadership position. Even when you think back to being a young kid on the playground, gathering everyone and organizing what was going to happen next and having people follow you and, feel like, you were leading the way, right? That was certainly me.
Do you know that meme with the little girl bossing everybody around and said, right, I'm not bossy, I have leadership skills?
That's right. Right. And so there's a lot of us that can identify with that. And then we just continue to always gravitate to and raise our hand for leadership opportunities that grew way beyond just being the line leader at school. And then there's this other group who struggle with calling themselves a leader. And it's because they love what they do and they're really succeeding at a high level in their field and they're doing great things, but they just don't necessarily see themselves as a leader. And the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching leadership, and I teach leadership so much that I actually put a course together, as you mentioned. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I think that, it's the most important skill set we can develop, because if you can develop your leadership skills and you can raise the lid on your leadership capacity, the world really starts to open up to you, because you become a better influencer, which can help you attract talent to any organization, clients and customers. It helps you communicate at a higher level. It can help you really just connect with people on a deeper level, because of one of the key components of developing your leadership, as you just mentioned, is really understanding and developing communication skills, right? So that's going to help you to articulate what you want to say, create space to really be clear about your value proposition. But, you touched on in the beginning of this time together, in the beginning of this Empower Hour, you talked about time management. You talked about leverage. You talked about finding the joy in your life, right? And the thing that I have seen time and time again in my own life and in working with other people is that when you develop your leadership skills and you get better at developing people too, because that's what leaders do. We develop people. It doesn't just start and end with ourselves. I think someone who's committed or starts to understand the journey of leadership, you automatically know and agree that it's about other people and it's about helping them to hit their goals and succeed. And so as you start to do that, you can develop them, you can develop their skill set, you can build a team around you that creates leverage, that creates, space for time for you. And that brings in more strategic thinking, innovation, and all the things that we know move a business forward. So if you're looking to find, and yes, balance is BS, balance is bullshit. It's more about flow.
You know
right?
who taught me that? Gary Keller.
Yeah, because you know
I was
why?
at a live event. Gary
Mhm.
Keller just came out and said, balance is bullshit. And he talked about counterbalance, right? How you go full throttle and then you stop. So
Yeah.
anyway, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
that is
no,
a
because you know what?
Gary
When you
Keller.
think about balance, you're trying to work with two things, right?
I want energy to try to do this.
Right. And he talks about in his book, The One Thing, he talks about chasing two rabbits.
Yeah.
And if you try to chase two rabbits, what do you think is going to happen?
Catch
You
none.
catch none, right? So it's really about understanding how to put your focus to something and understanding what that thing is. Understanding, what is the thing that's going to bring you the most results or leverage. And listen, you have to know when you're trying to live a big life or you're working to create a big business. I think anyone listening to Empower Hour is looking to go big in their life. We know we can do that with the right strategy, and we have to acknowledge that in doing that, some other things might not be in our scope, right? Some other things might have to fall aside. And so we have to just get good at understanding priority. And that's why, going back to leadership, I think the skill sets that you develop in your journey of developing yourself as a leader are the skill sets that help you just win at life, because those skill sets include connecting and developing relationships. It includes emotional intelligence. It includes personal development and all that comes with that, communication. So I think growing in your leadership capacity is also a commitment to personal growth. And
So
right?
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how can you be a true leader? I had so many top producing agents that used to come into my office, and especially at Keller Williams, because it was a real, saying. Everybody would say family first, right? And I would say, okay, show me a calendar. And they would show me their calendar and say, where is your family? Your family is
Mm-hmm.
not on this calendar. And you can say, oh, well, but you know what happens? Then you're with your family, and especially realtors, they're doing this.
Yeah.
It's just this client. It's just, right? So you'll get to certain
So,
places.
on that note, I say often distraction causes failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
when you're really looking to achieve results at a high level, we have to find that focus. And it's really interesting. I mentioned I'm a Gigi. So my oldest grandchild is 4, Sophia, and she loves to play, different things with us, like imagination. Like she's, running a diner one day and taking your order. She's in my home office helping me, have meetings and build businesses. And she's really funny because lately what she's done is when she sees like myself or my husband or her mom pick up our phone, she's like, no phones allowed at this meeting. No phones allowed in my diner. So she at 4 is understanding, like, if
But
you
it's
have that phone in your hand, you're not paying attention to what's happening right now.
yes. Yes.
So it's
Yes.
awareness. It's definitely awareness.
Yeah, but
So
also that you can't lead. You can't lead. That's being whole, right? You
yeah.
truly need to be whole. You'll lead to an extent, but not to your full potential.
Yeah, and so I'm passionate about teaching leadership, not only for the value it brings to anyone's career or an organization, but the way that it really can expand your life. And John Maxwell, probably one of the leading thought. I just got
Leader.
tongue tied. One of the leading thinkers and leaders on leadership. Oh my goodness, holy cow! I need to drink more coffee. John Maxwell has said for years, for decades, that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And when you
Yeah.
think about the world we're living in right now, people are just jockeying for influence, right? For to be on in that position where they can attract people to their way of thinking, attract people to buy their stuff, attract people to even their Instagram page, right? Whatever it
Yeah.
is. And so we can use our influence to do good things in the world. And I think the world needs more great leaders. And the thing that I also want to really emphasize about leadership is that it's not about becoming perfect. It's
Right.
about it's about really first and foremost committing to your own personal growth journey, because if you want to lead other people, you must be able to lead yourself. And then it's understanding that a good leader is willing to say, I'm not sure about that, let's find the answer together, or I'm going to get that answer and get back to you. So I think people are really looking for leadership, but they don't need you to be perfect. They would rather that you're real over being right. And so I just want to put that out there, because sometimes people are not taking the time to develop themselves as a leader because they think that they don't have what it takes. And we all have leadership ability, but by doing some of this work, we can really grow. And so I did put together a course. It's a digital course anyone can download. And we'll put the link in the comments or chat here online. And I'm passionate about it because this is a course that you can do at your own pace. You will be able to dig in. I have a lot of hands-on exercises. I have a lot of things that are packed into this course on all the topics we've touched on today, like communication, like personal development, understanding what emotional intelligence really is and how to leverage it. All the things that sometimes, we're really struggling to find enough information on. And so it's all in this course, because I believe that when you grow in your leadership capacity, you can start to create a ripple effect in the world around you. And listen, that's when you see opportunity come to you. That's when you see your income increase, because whether you work for yourself or someone else, you are paid or compensated in direct proportion to the value you bring to others.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're bringing high value to your organization, you will see opportunity continue to show up. And in that opportunity, doors will open for you and income will start to, increase. And the same thing in your business. And so that's another reason why I feel like, we all have this obligation almost to ourselves to grow as leaders and understand more about it. And my friends, it's not about title either, because I know sometimes people get stuck on that. And I've talked to a lot of people or coached a lot of people who say, well, why do I need to develop my leadership? I work as a solopreneur. And because it has nothing to do with how many people you manage or a title, it has to do with the way you show up in the world. It has to do with the way people respond to you when you show up in the world. It has to do with how you can create that influence and bring people into your space. And it's about becoming effective and multiplying your impact, which, I think if anyone is looking to live life at a high level, that's the goal. So I feel like no matter what you're trying to do, it really has to start with growing your leadership. It's at the core.
So true. And then for people who are not solopreneurs, and this was something also in hindsight, no regrets, no, but you also, if you're a natural born leader, we want to also be aware, be mindful, be conscious of where are we leading people?
Sure.
Where are we leading them? Because people are naturally going to follow you if you are a natural leader, and right? Tell us some of the signs of being a natural leader. What do you think some of the signs of being a natural leader are?
That's a great question. I think some of the signs are, you have a certain level of assertiveness, which is a very positive trait to have. I talk about that in the course, because some people think that being assertive is a bad thing, and it's not. No one wants to follow a wishy-washy leader. People
Right.
need leadership because they need guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think having a certain level of assertiveness, confidence, charisma. Those are some of the outward signs. But I think, again, it's a willingness to help people. It's a willingness to say, I'll do that. I'll lead on that. And like I joked about, it can show up in a 4 or 5 year old on the playground. Those are some of the natural things that start to appear in someone's behavior. But even then, we all have to understand. So even those of us who identify as natural leaders, we have to develop our leadership.
Exactly.
Because what
That's
got you here is never enough to get you where you want to go. Because at some point, that natural ability, you're going to hit a ceiling, and you're going to know it when you do, because suddenly the things that came easy to you that used to produce results aren't really producing the same results as they did. You'll notice that as time evolves, as you evolve, your business evolves, the economy, the world, we have to continue to sharpen the tools in our toolbox. We have to continue to understand, which with each generation, how we connect, how we lead them, right? The way that I connect with you as a 25-year-old and lead you, per se, is not the same as I might connect and lead someone who is in their 50s. And so we have to respect that too. And
yeah, I
so
love
it's
yeah. I
yeah, so
just
it's understanding that you have to put the time in to develop yourself as a leader always, because you're always going to need to level up as things become more natural to you. They're just not going to bring the same results, so you're going to have to get more purposeful in figuring out what's next for you, and what's that skill set that you need to develop, or what's something that might be missing from your toolbox too.
so true. And what I was going to say is, being a natural leader is a responsibility and a gift. It's both. So
Yes.
if you don't get into the responsibility part of that gift,
Yes.
number one, you'll never actually tap into all the gifts, all the miracles and beauty and,
Yeah.
wonderful things of manifestation and abundance that it will bring you.
Yeah.
And it will actually become a burden rather than a gift. So,
Yes, and I touched on that a little bit ago, and I will say we talk about that in this course too. That leadership is very gratifying and very fulfilling when you can see that the way that you poured into someone, the way that you've believed in someone, the things that you've taught someone, the questions you've asked someone, because great
yeah,
leaders ask very powerful questions. It's
yeah,
so gratifying, and I can tell you story after story of people that I have had the pleasure of supporting, and really the honor of supporting and helping them grow in their career, even in their leadership, and the things they've gone on to do. It's very fulfilling, and you're 100% right, Jen. It's a huge responsibility, and that could be why some people step back a little bit and not want to grow their leadership. But I will tell you, with great things do come great responsibility or accountability. And so as leaders, we have to understand that it's not about us. If you want to be a powerful and effective leader, it is not about managing people. It is not about even managing outcomes. It's about leading people to self-discover, to tap into their own skill set, to help them develop their influence, communication, all the things that you developed as a leader. And knowing that while it's a privilege, it's truly a privilege to watch people and lead people and help them grow. It is a responsibility. I mean, I've always known that. It never became clearer than 4 years ago during COVID. And I
yeah,
know we're all tired of hearing that word, but I'm just going to say, in 2020, there was a lot of shit going on, if I can say that. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. And, I and my business partner, we had to figure it out really quickly. And so it's daunting when as a leader, you have, in our case, we have 500 real estate agents in our organization looking to us for answers, looking to us for guidance. And sometimes we had to be honest, because you have to be honest and real as a leader too, and say, I'm not sure, but we're going to figure it out. And that's what
yeah,
people need to know, that their leader or their leaders are competent and willing to get in there with them and figure it out. So on
yeah,
the other side of it, as the leader, it can be overwhelming. So you just have to be committed to the people you lead and be committed to, that responsibility of really knowing that your decisions and just the way you show up, just your energy, right? When you get out of the car and you walk into the office, how you show up, that's just as important as anything you might say.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite expressions is don't match the energy in the room, bring the energy to the room. Be the
Yeah.
energy in the room. And
Yeah.
that's
Sometimes you have to change the energy in the room as
yes,
a
you have
leader,
to. You have to. It's almost
yeah.
all the time, I would say, because yeah, water seeks the lowest level, right? So
Yeah.
if you're in a room full of people and it's you've got to raise
Well,
that
and
vibration.
this is another thing that is really crucial and another skill to develop as in life, but especially in leadership, and that's just self-awareness. And it's just understanding when you think about self-awareness and emotional intelligence, right? Because self-awareness is a component of EI. And I do break EI down in this course too, because a lot of people still are not sure what that even means, but it's understanding the way that you show up in the world and how people respond to you, and then how we all respond to each other. And so you have to be able to read a room, read the energy, but that starts with self-awareness, because I have to really be responsible for the energy I bring first if
Yeah,
I'm going to change the energy or add to it. And the thing about energy, as we know, right, it can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. So it's like a volleyball when you're popping the volleyball around on the lawn at a concert, right? We have to be moving that energy around. And the energy picks up components of what's happening in the room. So it starts with us for sure.
absolutely. And I can't speak enough about developing emotional intelligence because I was blessed and born with a very high EI IQ, and I'm a high school dropout. I really don't have math past eighth grade, and I did go to college twice later to that's a whole nother story, but for one semester or two semesters. So most of my intelligence comes from my emotional intelligence and then my experiences. But you know having that emotional intelligence got me through everything to where I am today. And I don't know where I would be without it. And so I see so many people are what we call tone deaf, right? They just don't pick up on the vibes or the energy or what people are thinking. I was doing a coaching session the other day and I said to my client, that person is going to call you right after this session and complain. And I was 1,000% right. And she was like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I just know. I just know. And that's from that ability, which I have, but I had to also hone it and train it and develop it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a natural ability
Yeah.
there, but it's so powerful. I mean, it's the things that when your emotional intelligence is really developed is just mind blowing. It's almost like you can read minds, but you can't. It's really just being so in tune with that energy.
Yeah, and again, it starts with the self-awareness. And I think, first of all, emotional intelligence has nothing to do with intellect. It has to do
Right.
with really understanding how your own, as I said, your own behavior is affecting you and the world around you, and then understanding how that shows up in other people. And
Mm-hmm.
it's an important component of developing your leadership, because if you want to lead someone, you have to connect with them first.
Yeah.
And we can't expect that everyone sees the world through the same filters we do, right? That's another component of self-awareness, because and the thing about self-aware leaders, they're equipped to handle conflict. Because they understand that, okay, this person is having a conflict because they're interpreting it through their own filter, and it doesn't make them wrong, it just makes it what's happening. And so we have to be willing to understand that. And so I think if anyone's listening today and feeling inspired around developing their leadership, and you want an actionable step to take, I would say the first thing is work on self-awareness. The very first thing I would recommend is work on self-awareness. And you can do that in a lot of ways. There's assessments and different things that you can take to help you understand more around who you are, because that's really what it is. Like, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do I see the world? What are my values? Those are all things that, especially when I work with people as their coach, help them to know first. And then as I help them understand that, I learn that about them. So now, if I understand your values are the rules you live by. The moment we try to live outside of our values, we are stressed out, right? It doesn't feel right. There's friction. So if I, as your leader or your coach or someone who is, an integral part of your life or your business, if I don't know those rules that you live by, if I don't understand your top values, then I can't support them. So I might put you in a place that causes friction. And that's what happens a lot of times with conflict. It's just we're stepping outside of values and boundaries, and we're not seeing that about each other. And that's why there's conflict. I mean, that's a simple reason, but that's usually what it is.
Identifying values is one of those things, like putting joy first is life-changing. And it's, and then it's also something I believe you should do twice a year, because your values change. You have your core values, obviously, but then different things, go on. And then all of a sudden you have new values and things evolve and change. So I think it's something that people should be looking at more than once in their life.
Yeah. Is it all right if I offer your audience another freebie, if that's okay? I have a values worksheet. So I have lots of tools and resources. As I said, I've been coaching for 14 years. So, again, we'll put the links to find me and download some freebies. But I have a values worksheet that someone can sit down and work through and identify your top 7 values. And it's so empowering to do that. And you're right, your values can change. Usually, like when you think about it, it's probably going to take some time for your values to shift. Like, in other words, thank you. There it is, guys. So the values you held dear to you in your 20s could certainly change in your 40s, because a lot of life has happened and we have different thoughts and ideas about what is important. And then there are a lot of us who can do this exercise year after year after year and find it doesn't change too much. And that's kind of cool too.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. I was going back to college because college was a regret that I had. And I don't think regret is a bad thing if you use it as motivation and as clarity. So I go back to college and I do the first semester and I'm kicking butt. I go into the second semester, but Olivia, my daughter, is about to give birth. And I'm like, I remember wanting to prioritize that week, when she's ready to go. And I was struggling because of college. And then I was like, what am I doing? This is, so my values changed right there. And it's not that family was not always one of my values, but the priority values, right? So that education, which is one of my values, just went a little bit further down to make room for this new place.
Well, and here's the interesting thing about it too. Maybe it's not that your value around education changed. It was really just possibly understanding what meant more to you at that moment, which is really powerful. Yeah. And sometimes we think, okay, so in your example, I didn't go to college either. And I spent some time thinking, oh, maybe this is a mistake or something I have to fix. And you have these regrets. And then you realize, maybe not. Maybe it's not really that big of a deal, because sometimes we can find ourselves wanting to do it just because we think we're supposed to do it. And everyone else expects us to do the thing. And what does the thing really represent? And so if it is about development, if it is about increasing your knowledge, personal and professional growth and development, that can be done in a lot of ways. And so I love that example. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think I use values in a way to to make my daily life decisions. So that's why for me, I like to reassess. Okay, so what are my, because I like to, here, I'll give you this. The word of the year. Well, I was so judgmental of this word of the year forever. I'm like, what the freak? One word? Like, hello, I have so many things I want to embody and blah, 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 blah. And then one year I finally got it. For me, it's gratitude. And that will be my word of the year for life. And and it just really works because it brings me right back. But with the values, if you want to be able to I think it's really important to make decisions based on them. So being able to identify. Yeah, exactly.
We do. And that's another way I describe values. And I included a lot of the content on values in this leadership. So the course is the Leadership Advantage, which I hope you check out, everyone. And I incorporate a lot of information around values because they are the rules we live by, which is then how we make decisions. And it's how we decide, even on a very subconscious level, that's right for me, but this isn't. And again, when you make decisions or you find yourself being led into something that just is outside your value system, that's where the anxiety shows up, the stress shows up, the feeling that you're being overwhelmed and burdened. So it is important to know what your values are if you're good, because I always say you can't stay within a certain boundary if you don't know where the lines are drawn.
Plus the stress of making decisions disappears. It just there's no choice.
You have to trust your value system, right?
You don't have to try to choose. You just know. Just know. And that's such a great place to be, to just know. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect and you're not going to have, but you're just able to follow that energy. And that energy comes from within by really knowing and identifying those values. So we do have some questions. Do you want to get out any last thoughts before we get to the questions, or
just again, if you take anything away from our conversation this morning and what I've been trying to teach, I would say that if you want to really begin a path of developing your leadership, or you're starting to understand how leadership truly can change your world, your career path, the business plan that you have, as well as create a positive impact in the world, start with one small thing. And I think, putting some time on developing and understanding your values and your self-awareness would be where you could go. Because I think that self-awareness is the first key to unlocking this whole treasure chest of what comes with leadership. And it's about understanding, when you think about self-awareness, the components are knowing your strengths and weaknesses, knowing what your values are, understanding how your emotions play into the way that you show up in the world and how people respond to you. So if some of you are thinking that, or struggling with, why am I not advancing in my career? Why am I not growing my business? Why am I not finding that people connect with me? Or why is it that I'm always feeling like I'm kind of on the outside of some of the conversations or things happening around me? It could start with really developing more awareness around all the components we've been talking about: EI, communication, strengths and weaknesses, values. And that can start to really create a bigger space for you to grow into. So, I know we don't have a lot more time, so I'll just leave it at that, but I'm happy to answer questions for sure.
Well, I love that, because we are here to grow and expand, right? We're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. There is no no standing still. That is an illusion, unless you are a McDonald's cheeseburger that can stay the same forever, I think. You can leave it out on the counter for 5 years and it'll still be the same. But no, seriously, creating that space, and even what I talked about in the beginning, my time efficiency audit breakthrough teaches you to create that space. You need that space so that you, and so like for me, it's meditation, journaling, and those things. Everybody, there's so many ways to do it. But creating that space is so important. So I'm so glad that you said that. So glad that you said that. All right. So let's see. How
do we lead if we're struggling? It's a great question, and it's honest. I think we're all struggling with something on any given day, and I think it comes back to acknowledging that to be a great leader, we have to take care of ourselves, and we have to always be growing ourselves first. So I would just say, Jeff, first of all, send you a little love if you're feeling this way today. I would say take some time to identify exactly what you're feeling and exactly what it is that you're struggling with. And so if you're struggling with something around leadership, is it about something happening at that moment, the people in your world or the opportunities or challenges in your world? Or is it something more internal around what you think might be in your toolbox? And so without knowing exactly what's happening, I would just say your first opportunity is to take a time out and ask yourself some powerful questions and ask yourself exactly what's happening, exactly what I'm feeling, exactly what am I struggling with, and then who could help you? Because I think that that's another component. Uh, there may be a spirit in the room. The light keeps going on and off. Sorry. So I think that that's another component of understanding too. We can't always be an island. And as a leader, even though there are a lot of people looking up to us and looking at us for guidance, we need that too. We need guidance. We need coaching. We need consulting. We need other leaders in our world. So I would also say, Jeff, who can you talk to? Who can help you? Because we can't solve all our problems only in our own inner space in our head, because we may not see all the options, but someone else can help us see that. So I will tell you, even though I've been a coach for 14 years, I work with 3 different coaches that help me. And I will always have coaches in my world so that they can help me work through my challenges and grow so that I can then help other people do the same. So I hope that was helpful.
I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said. The only thing I'll add is I now know that, listen, my life has been a lot of struggles, and that's what makes me a great leader. And then also,
Yes.
people don't want to follow somebody who hasn't been through it all or hasn't been
Yes.
through this.
Yes.
Overcoming is what develops those leadership skills, and then you can
100%.
share it.
Yeah,
So
let
good.
me just say that really so true. I talk about this a lot, that the only way to grow and to really develop yourself is through experiences and through challenges and triumphs. So in other words, you can sit and read and you can take a course and you can listen to a podcast and all the things, right? Which you should do.
Yeah.
Yet you have to then take this knowledge and start to use it. And when you start to use it, you might make a mistake, and it's okay, because
Yeah.
through that you're going to learn a lot. And if your business, I'll use that as an example, if it was always easy, what are you learning in that process? It's through the adversity and the challenges that we really sharpen our tools and our skills and get to use them for strategic thinking and problem solving, which makes us better. So I agree 100%.
I like to say Hercules did not get that body from no battles. It was the
Right.
battles that gave him the 6-pack and the muscles, okay? And without them, he would just be a tall, skinny guy.
Right. 100%.
Let's see.
Great question. How do I know if I'm a leader? Well, I think a few things. Number one, if you've always felt that you have a passion for helping other people succeed, you're a leader. If you're someone who is willing to show up and do the work and say to kind of take charge, or you're just not taking a back seat in a group conversation, you're always the person who might be offering some insight or asking questions, you're a leader. If you're someone who really wants to share your knowledge to help someone else grow, you're a leader. If you're not the person backing out of a conflict or a difficult challenge and saying, not my job, not my problem, you're probably a leader. So I think it's about really connecting again with your values, your strengths, and understanding that self-awareness. When you do, the signs become very clear. And if you are someone who really wants to make a difference in the world, you're a leader.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Jen.
I'll just add to that I think we're all leaders. It's a matter of discovering where,
Yes.
what is that
Well,
strength that I can lead to.
I think
But
that leadership is one of the most underdeveloped skills. It's probably the potential that more people have than they realize. And another reason why I teach and coach on leadership so much, because it definitely is available to all of us. And you, again, yes, are there some people who might be a little bit more comfortable or natural in their leadership? Oh, sure. But really, again, hate to sound like I'm just selling this course, but the reason why I wrote the course was so anyone could develop their leadership skills and use it to do great things in their life.
so this is I got from YouTube.
What happens if I fail and people are following me? You will create amazing experiences through that for other people. I love this question because I fail forward all the time, and that's what you need to realize. It's really, what is failure? I think we put so much weight on that word, and it just means that the outcome didn't match our intention. Okay. And so when something goes sideways or off a little bit, the first thing I do is I take a step back and say, okay, time out. What just happened here? And then the second question is, where did I play into that? Do I have a role in that? Because we have to take some accountability and responsibility. There's no way we can be perfect. Leadership is not about perfection, and it is about sometimes a little trial and error. And so the possibility of failing is always there. And we have to get a little bit more comfortable with that, because through the failing, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to make adjustments. We're going to get smarter and more strategic the next time. And when people are watching that, they know that you're human. They know that you're relatable. And if you're honest about it and take accountability for it, which I do all the time, it should earn a lot more respect from the people who are following you or watching you. And so, I just had something happen just a couple months ago. I talked about it in my podcast just a couple weeks ago, where I just allowed overwhelm to really set in. And I'm human. And even though I'm a coach and I have all the tools, that even made it worse in my head, because I told myself that I shouldn't be in this space, but I was. And I kind of had a little emotional breakdown in front of my entire staff.
Yeah.
During a meeting, I completely lost it, cried, overwhelmed, apologizing all over the place. And then, as soon as it was a Zoom call, as soon as I got off the Zoom call, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm so like a hot mess. I'm not capable. I've lost their respect. Do you know that within a matter of seconds, it felt like I was getting calls, text messages, instant messages, people knocking on my door in the office where I was that day, all telling me how much they loved me, supported me, respected me, and appreciated me for being real. So, are you here with this great question? Just embrace your realness, your authenticity, your humanity. Don't be afraid to show a mistake once in a while. Just own it and fix it, and the people around you will love you and respect you for it, and they will learn a lot through that, more than you realize, about their own leadership too.
And as somebody who has fallen from grace 3 major times in my life, I've learned something about this. If you ever heard of human design, start checking it out. It is crazy stuff. And fall from grace, like a complete fall from grace, public. And it first of all cleansed, right? The people who truly love, support, respect. But I don't think my coaching business would be in nearly as successful as it is now if I had launched it in another way.
Well, here's the thing. I'll just add to this as well. Your own experiences, your authenticity, right? The failures. I can't emphasize enough. You'll learn more through the failures than you will from the wins. And not to say you're not learning great things from the wins, but the failures teach you things that become invaluable. That if you are self-aware and really tuned into what leadership is about, because it's about other people, you'll use all of that to be more compassionate with people when you're coaching or leading them, to be more insightful, to ask the questions because you've had the experience, and also to share the teachings of that experience. So don't avoid that. Don't think that you should never make a mistake, because that's where we grow. That is 100% where we grow.
And we just don't get to see the people that we idolize, and we don't get to see their struggles all the time. And then sometimes you do. I just got to see Martha Stewart this weekend, and she said, first of all, what she went through, yeah, there was a lot of judgment, a lot of harsh this and whatever, but she came out of it and her world completely expanded, like everything. She didn't understand how she could get into it. Yeah. And she got to hang out with Snoop Dogg as a result. Come on.
She's still hanging out with Snoop Dogg, I think.
I love that. I love everything about that. All right. So there's one more. You kind of answered this, but it's a good question to follow, to close with, because we can talk about your program. And like I said, I think everybody is a natural leader. It's just something you have to focus on, cultivate, expand.
To answer this question, so the question is, what if I'm not a natural leader? My first response is, what if you are? What if there is enough stuff in you that you actually are a natural leader? Because the other thing that we didn't talk about that is huge and to understand is everyone has a unique leadership style. And so the style in which you lead is different perhaps than the way you see other people show up, right? There are some, there's leadership styles that are very autocratic. There are leadership styles that are very utilitarian, very collaborative, very empowering, very charismatic, right? We all show up in different ways. Oftentimes, as you develop leadership skills, you will find that you have many leadership traits or characteristics that you'll use at different times, right? You'll put a different style out when the situation calls for it. So I would say you probably are a natural leader, and that's why the self-awareness path is huge. And actually, I think it's even the first part of the leadership course, so that you can see those parts of you that might actually start to resemble leadership. And I think it's about understanding what leadership is and what it's not. And then many of us will find, oh, you know what? I do have natural leadership skills. My next opportunity is just to develop it. And so wherever you are on your leadership journey, if this is a new concept to you and you're seeing yourself maybe in this light for the first time, or you've been leading people for 50 years, we all still have the ability to raise the lid and develop. We never hit a ceiling. It's personal development, right? We never actually get to the finish line. So that's why, if it's okay, we'll talk just for a minute about this link you see here now for the Leadership Advantage. I put all my 30 years of experience in education, my certifications in leadership coaching into play for this course. And there are 6 modules that you'll work through at your own pace, because, as I said, it's a digital course that you'll download and own forever. You'll have access to it forever. There's videos, there's modules, workbooks. And in this course, it is the opportunity to really understand leadership, develop yourself as a leader, and all the components that go with it, like communication skills, emotional intelligence, understanding your values. I talk about time management in this course too, and strategy on how to continue to level up and use the tools to grow your organization or grow your business. And so I think at the end of the course, you'll have what you need to positively impact an organization or your own business and the world around you. And so go to that link and you can get a lot of information about the course. There's a lot of bonuses in the course too that I was happy to throw in there, like a customized journal. There's a customized workbook that goes with all 6 modules, like 120 pages. I mean, I put a lot of passion into this course, and I believe that it will create a higher level of effectiveness for you. And I think that it will expand your potential and help you to become a more powerful and transformational leader, because that's the other thing about leadership is leaders change things. So check that out. You can check out any of the resources I have. And one of my top values, Jen, is coming from contribution. That's actually number one. And so that's why I do all these things. And I appreciate you having me, because it gave me an opportunity to come from that place and hopefully give some information today that was helpful to people. And I love that you do this every week.
Well, one of my top values is collaboration. So I enjoy working with like-minded people, people I enjoy, people I can learn from, people that, so thank you. I love what we've been doing together, and I know it will continue and grow, and we're going to do big things. So I'm so excited. And thank you so much for being here. So if you just stumbled upon this on social media, because we're on all the platforms, if you go to this link or scan this QR code, you will get access to my Soulful Prosperity Toolkit, which has all kinds of amazing things to help you put your joy first, help you fall back in love with what you're doing, or find what makes you happy, build your business, scale, all those things. But you will also get the replay for all the Empower Hours, mindset resets, meditations, affirmations, visualizations, all kind of cool stuff. So go ahead and do that. And then also my time efficiency breakthrough audit, which is super, super powerful. And I really love you guys, and I'm grateful. Thank you, Anna, and everyone. Have an amazing weekend.
Yes, go out there and change the world somehow, even in little ways.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.